Okay, so now it's okay, ahora sí. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Andrea Guzman. You guys can call me Dre or teacher or miss, whatever you want. I'm going to introduce myself quickly, and then we're going to go around really quickly introducing ourselves so we can all get to know each other. Okay. Well, my name is Andrea. I'm 24 years old. I studied communications. Now I live in Cochabamba, Bolivia, but I lived in New York for a while. So I learned English there, and here in Bolivia, I've been teaching. So that's how I keep my English in check. So there. Who wants to introduce themselves first?
Me. Hi, Dre. Nice to meet you. My name is Catherine. I'm 26 years old. I'm taking this course because I need to certify my English level. So basically, that's it. I want the best results, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Who else? Next. Let's see. There's not that many of us. Pensé que éramos más.
I can go. My name is Natalie. Nice to meet you all. I'm Colombian. I live in a tiny town located in the coffee region of Colombia. I'm an English teacher. I'm currently unemployed and I'm investing this time to get my professional profile upgraded. Catherine and I are very good friends. We studied together. We don't live close though. And yeah, thanks.
Hey, nice to meet you, Natalie. It's really cool. Y sí, pues hay que aprovechar el tiempo de cuarentena. Next, Andrea.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea. I'm 17 years old. I'm from Bolivia. And I'm taking the TOEFL test because I am looking at scholarships. And that's all. Yeah, I am the last year of school. And nice to meet you all.
To get my professional profile upgraded.
Okay, nice to meet you, Andrea.
Catherine and I are very good friends. We studied together.
No sé si ustedes escuchan un lag en el audio. Sí.
And yeah, thanks.
Hey, nice to meet you, Natalie. It's really cool. Es el YouTube. Hay que aprovechar el tiempo de cuarentena. Es el YouTube. Give me a second. Next, Andrea. Okay, ahora sí. Sorry, el lag del YouTube. Rosa, can you continue, please?
Hi, everyone. My name is Rosa Barrios. I'm 28 years old. I am an environmental engineer. I'm taking the TOEFL test because I want a scholarship to a mastership. So that's it.
Okay, nice to meet you. And Camila?
Hi, nice to meet you all. My name is Camila. I'm 19. I'm from Lima, Peru. I would like to take TOEFL because I'm looking for a scholarship. Maybe I could study at the US or something like that. So I think that's a good opportunity. So that's because I'm here.
Yeah, the best, the TOEFL really helps with especially scholarships and also work opportunities. So yeah, nice to meet you. Who else? Melanie, creo que es la única que falta, right?
Yes. Hi everyone. I'm Melanie. I'm also from Bolivia. I'm 23 years old. I am a psychologist. I'm actually working right now. So I need the TOEFL because I want to apply to different masters. Maybe Canada, maybe UK, maybe United States. So actually I took the TOEFL like 2 years ago. So it's now I don't have the score because it expired. So yeah. I need to improve my score. So I will definitely like that. Yes.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So
Nice
yeah,
to
one of the downsides of the TOEFL is that you kind of need to update it every now and
Yeah.
then. So yeah, so nice to meet you all. We're going to wait a second. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna start with the practice. Okay. Here we go. I'm sorry, just 2 seconds, guys. I'm gonna stop sharing. I need to. Una cosita, necesito arreglar really quickly. Okay, just 2 seconds, guys. Okay, ahora sí. I think alguien más ha entrado. No somos, ya somos las mismas. Ok, ahora sí. Okay, this is the way it's gonna work. Okay. First, tell me a bit what your other teacher told you in the en sus anteriores clases. Cuéntame un poco de lo que ya han visto, cómo les he explicado, cuánto tiempo tienen para cada parte del TOEFL. Todo eso ya han visto, ¿verdad? Yes, so more or less, you're gonna have, here in this practice, we're gonna have parts, some listenings that are lectures. Okay, so they're gonna be a little bit more extended. They're gonna be like around 5 or 6 minutes. And for each of those, we're going to have 5 or 6 questions. For the shorter ones, they're gonna be around 3 minutes, and we're also gonna have less questions. So we're gonna try to do as many listenings in this 1-hour class as possible. So for starters, I recommend you all to have a piece of paper to take notes, because you can't go back and listen to the full conversation or lecture again. So you always have to take notes. Okay? So this first audio is a lecture on wildlife conservation. Who said they were que estudiaba ingeniería ambiental, creo, or algo ecológico? I think one of you guys. But okay, so that's what it's going to be about. It's more, the lecture parts are going to be a little bit more theoretical, more academic, and conversations are going to be more informal. So let's take a listen.
Listen to part of a lecture in a class
¿Todos escuchan bien?
on wildlife conservation.
We're going to continue our unit on endangered species by looking at the dwindling populations of migrating shorebirds and what scientists are doing to help them. Let's take a look at the Delaware Bay specifically. The Delaware Bay is one of the most important places for many species of migrating shorebirds. They travel thousands of miles every spring and fall, and in late May and early June, you'll see shorebirds gathered on almost every beach along the Delaware Bay. Having so many birds assembled in one place at the same time, though, it seems like their numbers are fine, but it's sort of deceiving, as we'll soon discover. Consider one bird in particular that's received a lot of attention. Does anybody know which species I'm talking about?
I might. I'm actually from Delaware, and every year the newspapers make a big deal when the red knots arrive at the beaches. Is that it?
Precisely. Red knots get a lot of publicity, and for good reason. In 1990, about 100,000 red knots landed on Delaware Bay beaches. By 2003, the number plummeted to about 12,000. Did the birds go somewhere else? That's an excellent question. One that we don't know the answer to yet. But those falling populations did spur scientists to design research projects to determine whether we, humans, that is, if we were responsible, and if there was something we could do to reverse the trend. Now, Marisol, I know you took part in an internship program at the Delaware Bay last summer. Why don't you tell the class a bit about your work?
Sure. Well, the researchers I was working with are trying to find ways to rejuvenate the populations of shorebirds. They captured the birds, weighed them, and measured their wings and beaks.
And can you explain how this project will help the birds?
Well, some biologists were studying avian diseases, viruses that affect birds. They put some of the info into a database that tracks whether certain viruses are limited to particular species or parts of the world. I'm not sure about the measurements.
That's all right. Thank you, Marisol. Generally, researchers put bands on the legs of every bird they study so they can ascertain if the bird returns to the same sites. When they capture birds that have been banded already, the scientists weigh and measure them to see if the birds are growing as expected. Each species weighs a certain amount when it's in peak condition, so by weighing the birds at the midpoint of migration, researchers can learn quite a bit. Now, what would you imagine is a migrating bird's biggest problem when it reaches that midpoint? Well, with so many birds coming to the same place at the same time, I guess there's a lot of competition for food. That's right. And in the case of the red knots, scientists have learned that about the time the birds arrive, the horseshoe crab is also coming on shore to lay its eggs. If the horseshoe crabs haven't laid their eggs, the birds have to move on. And this is sad, many die because they don't have the energy reserves to complete their journey. Scientists made a breakthrough helping red knots by linking their population to the horseshoe crab population. After limiting harvests of horseshoe crabs, we're starting to see the red knot population rebound. So we know food supplies affect the migrating shorebird populations. What else would affect them?
Well, there are a lot more people on Earth today. We're taking up a lot more space.
Yes. The other big problem is the lack of suitable resting places for the birds. As we humans require more and more space, we're destroying some of the places where the shorebirds rest. But scientists have had some success helping shorebirds that live year-round in Atlantic coastal regions. Success that may be applicable to migrating birds. For example, the American oystercatcher seemed on the brink of extinction in 2003. Working with environmental groups and government officials, scientists helped oystercatcher populations recover by preserving habitat, controlling predictor populations, and restricting human activities near the birds' nesting sites. These solutions offer promising leads on how to come up with similar strategies to help migratory shorebirds like the red knot.
Okay, so now we'll continue with the questions. Okay, first, general ideas. Camila, can you read the question and the options, please?
Okay, the question one is, what is the main topic of the lecture? The first alternative is how community efforts can preserve shorebird populations at Delaware Bay, how environmental factors in a region have reduced populations of migratory birds. The third one is how researchers discovered the link between red knots and horseshoe crabs. And the last one is how migratory shorebirds choose resting areas based on available food and space.
Okay, and which one do you think it is?
Well, I would say is the second one.
Okay, does anyone think differently? Does anyone have any other? You agree? ¿Todos están de acuerdo que es la segunda? I think we have these options, right? Siempre que tenemos esto hay que ir por eliminación. So let's see the last one. They just mentioned this in one part. It's like one sentence or like two sentences. So it's probably not this one that they choose resting areas. The link between the red knots and the horseshoe crabs also very briefly, so it's not the main idea. I think we're between these two. But yes, we talk about how they've reduced populations in general, no different aspects, that like the lack of food, the lack of space. But it also could be because they mentioned the actions they take to avoid the decline in population. So it could be either of the two. Which one do you think? ¿Se quedan con la segunda opción?
But in my opinion, there are more supporting details for the second one than the first one.
Okay, so let's go with option 2. And yes, you're right. It is option 2. So good job. Next question. Melanie, can you read the question and the options, please?
Okay, according to the female student, what is one way the researchers evaluate the health of shorebird populations? A, by tracking location of migration midpoints, my point, by monitoring the predator populations, by measuring bird wingspans, by counting eggs laid during migration.
And which one do you think it is?
I want to take my notes.
Sometimes it's kind of hard to remember who said what, especialmente cuando hay hartas personas hablando en la conversación. So,
I think it's easy.
the
I remember.
wingspan.
Yeah.
Okay. Why not? Why wouldn't it be tracking locations of migration midpoints, for example?
No, wait.
I agree with you. I think it's the third one. Pero, ¿por qué
yeah.
no sería el otro?
Yes, I agree with Melanie. That's the third option because measuring the weight and the size of the bird has to do with the health of it.
Mhm.
While if we choose the first one, tracking the location, it's not like really close to the point of the health of it. As
Yeah,
well
definitely.
as the last one and the second one.
Yeah, this is more like the general phenomenon of the migration and everything. Pero ya la salud de cada pájaro, digamos. Yeah, by weighing them, they measure their beak, they measure their wingspan. So yes.
I'm sorry, Dred, you were mentioning something about like a strategy to differentiate during the lectures when a speaker takes turn.
Sometimes like this information isn't really important. Like we do remember hearing this, but you know, like looking back on your notes and trying to remember who said this in this case isn't really relevant. So you have to learn to como que hacer un vínculo entre si lo que dice la persona realmente importa quién lo haya dicho o si es solo la información suelta que no sirve. En este caso es solo la información, no importa quién lo haya dicho. Okay, Natalie, can you read the question and options, please?
What can be inferred about the value of banding birds Banding helps scientists estimate how many birds hatch at Delaware Bay each year. Banding ensures that a shorebird will make a successful migration journey. Banding determines whether scientists will return to a particular stopover site. Banding is particularly helpful when previously banded birds are captured again. Okay, what can be inferred about the value of banding birds? Birds.
Which one?
I think
This one. I'm between these two because
and it says
it
inferred, so
is
it's not mentioned explicitly.
helpful,
Yes,
Mhm.
it says.
So when we infer something, it's not like explicitly said at any point. Yeah, so
I'll go for the
Ay,
first
mi
option.
internet está medio- The first one.
Yes,
That
I
helps
will-
them.
Okay. The
So
last
yeah.
one.
So yeah,
is
it
correct.
does, they do talk about the migration journey, but I feel they go more into detail about how they measure, how they weigh each bird que ya tiene su bandita.
Mhm.
And also, I think they go more into how it helps review each individual bird y así ver cómo está toda la población de pájaros. Why does the professor discuss the horseshoe crabs? Catherine, can you read the options, please?
Yes, first one, to explain their role in the red-knocked dwindling population. What it's dwindling?
Dwindling is like que baja, pero así como que it's falling.
Okay. What?
Decayendo, yeah, decayendo.
Okay.
Mhm.
To suggest a source of infection that has affected red-knocked populations, to explain why the level of activity among shorebirds has plunged, to introduce his theory on why red-knocks have changed migration routes. I'd say the last option.
The last one.
The food. Yes, because of the food. They were food of the birds, so if they are not there, birds wouldn't be there.
But what do they say happens to the birds because of the lack of horseshoe? Does it say they go somewhere else? It does
Yes.
mention what happens to them.
To look for food in
No dice
another
que se van a
place.
otro lado, though. It says they die porque no
Yeah,
tienen la
because
fuerza necesaria
the
para volver.
predators.
Okay.
Se-
They
se-
die.
they die there. So I think it's the first one to explain why, o sea, cómo afectan que disminuye la población porque no tienen
Okay.
comida.
Oh, we'll never know.
Sorry guys, my internet connection is kind of, cuando es el Zoom y la página, they don't get along very well. Okay, and yes, the correct answer is the first one.
Okay.
And next one. Oh, we have ha entrado alguien más. Diego, hi. Did you
Hi.
manage to listen to the audio? ¿Lograste escuchar?
Not much.
Okay, so por ahora, pendiente de las preguntas, que aún has escuchado del todo el audio. Andrea, then, can you read the question and the options?
Yeah. Teacher, sorry to interrupt you because my internet is bad, so I left the meeting and I couldn't listen. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I know this online class thing is just
Yeah.
a veces. Okay, igual entonces por esta clase como que atenta nomás and bueno, la siguiente vamos a intentar escuchar mejor. So Camila, then, can you read the question and options, please?
Okay. What is the professor's attitude toward research on the declining numbers of various species of birds? The first one is he believes that issues affecting shorebird populations are too complex to be adequately addressed by current research methods. The second one is he expects that the real changes will come through the intervention of the government and not a research project. Then he acknowledges that the few successes have been less effective than desired and is concerned about the possible extinction of shorebirds. And the last one is he anticipates that research into populations of non-migratory birds could benefit migratory shorebirds.
And which one do you think it is?
I'm between the last one and I think the last one.
Yeah, he doesn't really seem,
Yeah.
he doesn't have a negative outlook at any point. Sino que más bien al final he mentions another species that they've done research on, and he mentions it in a positive light. So yeah, el único positivo de acá es este. So I agree that it's this one. And yes, that's a correct answer. So good job. And the last question, we're going to listen to a specific part of the audio again. Y vamos a responder la pregunta.
What does the professor mean when he says this?
Having so many birds assembled in one place at the same time, though, it seems like their numbers are fine, but it's sort of deceiving, as we'll soon discover.
Okay, ahora sí que han escuchado. Diego, what does the professor mean by this? Can you read the options?
Yeah, the researchers working at the Delaware Bay have manipulated the population data on the migration shorebirds. The fluctuation in population are because not all species of shorebirds and endangered. The Delaware Bay is not the only place where migration shorebirds can stop the rest and refuel on their journey. So high numbers of birds in one place masks the global decline of shorebirds population are the fluctuation in population.
It could be because he mentions several species all in one place. So tal vez es por eso que algunas no están en peligro, pero I'm not sure. Anyone else? Another option? ¿O están de acuerdo? ¿Quiénes están de acuerdo?
I think the last one is more accurate. Such high numbers of birds in one place mask the global decline of shorebird population.
Yeah, he does mention with so many birds, it seems like que son hartos, ¿no? Que no están en peligro. But keyword here, mask the global decline, que efectivamente sí hay especies en peligro, pero que haya tantos, así que no parezca. And yes, that is a correct answer. So that's the last question for this audio. Before we listen to the next one, any questions, any comments about any of the questions? ¿Alguna en particular que les haya costado? No? Okay, so now we're gonna, yeah.
Maybe I think that I probably had 5 from 6, maybe. Maybe in the question that it says infer, I think the advice maybe is that you need to hear what, I don't know, maybe an advice for next
Well-
questions, maybe.
They're going to give you, especially in the lecture ones and the ones that are more theoretical, they're going to give you specific names. En este caso eran especies animales, ¿no? Or dates or places, and general ideas. Como hemos visto en la clase, como que iban introduciendo muy claramente idea 1, idea 2, idea 3, ¿no? Que, I don't know, the human effect on it. And, ¿qué más teníamos?
The reasons why the migration birds are so
I would suggest to listen to eso, nombres, o en este caso nombres de especies, lugares, fechas, and the main idea, como si fuera el titular que introduce cada idea.
okay.
Y ahí les va a ser más fácil pensar, ya, entonces si da pista A y pista B con los títulos de cada tema, tal vez está queriendo decir eso. Okay, so now we're going to listen to another one about art history. So let's take a listen.
Listen to part of a lecture in an art history class.
Last week, we talked about Impressionism, about its appreciation for the effect of light and the way it changes the characteristics of the subject of the painting. Today, we are going to cover Pointillism, which is a branch of Impressionism. Now, Pointillism, also known as Neo-Impressionism or Divisionism, is a technique of painting using small points of primary colors to compose new shapes and hues. One of the most famous works using this technique is Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte by Georges Seurat. Notice how vivid and vibrant the colors in this picture are. There are more than 3 million dots painted onto the canvas in this painting, yet not a single one of them stands out on its own.
Is there a reason why they used so many primary colors when applying the pointillist technique?
Well, we learned last week that the Impressionists had been fascinated with the study of colors and light. I guess we could say Seurat took it to another level. He was not satisfied with the traditional method of mixing different colors on the palette, because he felt like the more you mix colors, the more they become, well, dull. He explored how the allocation of complementary or contrasting colors next to each other can be perceived in the eye as a third color from a distance. Now, what are other examples of such an optical illusion?
Mosaic art, images created by putting hundreds of little multicolored tiles together to make one big picture.
And tapestry, too. The drawings on tapestries are made of individual dots, not painted onto material.
Right. Then there are the TV and computer screens we see all around us. Today, we utilize the combination of vivid colors in most projection-type screens, but this was an innovative discovery in Seurat's time. Color theorists of the 19th century, such as Michel-Eugène Chevreul, argue that colors are affected by the color around them. For example, if red is placed next to blue, the blue will take on a greenish hue, because green is the opposite of red.
Excuse me, sir. I can understand why people refer to this technique as pointillism. The pictures are composed as points or dots rather than strokes. But why do some refer to this technique as divisionism?
Well, that's because Seurat attempted to divide the intended color into separate pixels of pure colors. The truth is, when Seurat introduced his technique, he referred to it as chromoluminism. Chromo as in color, and luminism as in light. It is ironic, actually, because the term pointillism, which we use more commonly, was initially coined by the older Impressionist artists to ridicule Seurat's work. Those with more respect referred to his technique as divisionism.
Why did people ridicule Seurat? The sheer scale of work involved in his paintings must have been awe-inspiring.
You might think so. But traditional Impressionists felt Seurat's approach to art was much too scientific and calculated, and that it lacked any attempt to put on the canvas the impression the artist gets from the scenery. Also, trying to divide colors instead of implementing the traditional method of mixing pigment on the palette may have been offensive to those like Claude Monet, whose work majorly relied on trying to replicate the hue of his objects as precisely as possible in this traditional method.
But Vincent van Gogh is famous for exclusively using very short strokes as well. One would think his work has some similarity to pointillism.
Ah, but you must remember the mixture of colors in his strokes. The colors being applied to the canvas, they weren't exclusively primary colors, but obviously had been pre-mixed. So how do these techniques differ in their effects?
I sense more movement in Van Gogh's painting, more energy. Well, Seurat's work looks more static.
The blending of colors seems more linear and fluid in Van Gogh's work, while it looks like different hues are overlapping in Seurat's work.
Right. So even if the strokes might be similarly small, the final piece will reflect light and color very differently. Had Seurat been more appreciated earlier, his greatest piece would not be resting at the Art Institute of Chicago today. The French still refer to Sunday afternoon on the island of Le Grand Jatte as the greatest French art outside France.
Okay. And that's the audio. Now we're going to go ahead and see the questions. First, the big main idea. Melanie, can you read the question and options?
Okay, what is the lecture mainly about? The early opposition toward George Seurat, the artist's style of pointillism, the emergence of impressionism, the way colors are perceived in art. Okay, I'm gonna by this card. I don't know. It's not 4. It's not 1. So I'm between 2 and 3.
Okay, so like you said, right? These are all supporting ideas. Habla de los colores, but it's not the main idea. Habla de que algún rato, very briefly, they mention que le hacían bullying a George Seurat. And the emergence of Impressionism, it could be because it repite varias veces, no? Different types of Impressionism, maybe. But it all comes back to pointillism. When they talk about Van Gogh, they compare to pointillism. When they talk about fulanito de tal, they compare to pointillism. So el punto que más se repite, I think is pointillism.
Yeah, I agree.
So yes, correct. That is the correct answer. Good job. Okay. Now, Natalie, can you read the question and options?
What is the male student's opinion of Seurat? I don't know how to pronounce it. Works. He thinks Seurat colors mixed fluidly. He thinks Seurat was too calculating. He thinks Seurat copied the Impressionists. He thinks Seurat deserved to be praised.
And which one do you think?
Oh, sorry. I think it's the last one.
Yeah, because the professor does say this, but the student was like, wow, pero si era muy capo, que no sé qué, no sé qué. So yeah, I agree that it's.
Remind me the pronunciation of that and the definition exactly. Praised?
Praised, to give de palabras de ánimo, palabras de
felicitar, like congratulated.
Worship.
Acknowledge.
Worship, but like give someone, congratulate them for a good job or tell them they did well. That's to give someone praise or to be praised.
Praised. Dios mío. Thank you.
Okay, so next question. Andrea, can you read, please?
Okay, what are the examples of the optical illusion effect pointillism relies on? mosaic art, modern photography, modern impressionism, tapestry.
We have two options. We have to pick two of them. So menciona dos de estas cosas. Una nota.
I don't know, what is tapestry?
Tapestry is like telas con bordados que hacen formitas.
Okay. Maybe the third.
Monet's Impressionism. Who was Monet? ¿Qué nos está preguntando? What examples of the same optical illusion? Now, pointillism nos dice que es como que el efecto de que muchos puntitos compongan una imagen. Entonces, algo que sea lo mismo. Da ejemplos de otras cosas que hacen la misma ilusión óptica. When they mention impressionism, más bien dicen que era como que más fluido, más, bueno, el de Monet, digamos. So no tiene ese mismo puntitos que componen una imagen. No, menciona clarito. Do you remember?
Tapestry and mosaic art.
Maybe tapestry.
Yes, he does mention mosaic art. I don't remember him mentioning tapestry, but we're gonna check. We're gonna see.
Yeah, it was mentioned twice.
Let's see. It was. And yes, it was mosaic art and tapestry, porque los puntitos componen una imagen. Okay, now, Catherine, can you read the question and options, please?
What can be inferred about how pointillism was evaluated while Seurat was alive? Many impressionists thought pointillism was not scientific. Contemporary artists did not appreciate pointillism. Americans valued pointillism more than the French. Seurat quickly rose to fame after his first piece. I think that the first one, that I know, okay, it was not like appreciated, but I don't know if it was not like scientific. Okay, contemporary artists did not appreciate pointillism, the second one.
Yes, ¿por qué no sería el primero?
Because they didn't mention scientific, or they didn't involve science into the art as
just the opposite.
Yeah, very briefly they did mention it, pero justo han dicho lo opuesto, que su problema era que es muy científico esto para mi impresionismo y mi expresión.
Okay.
So they didn't like it, pero era justo porque era muy científico, no porque era no científico.
Okay.
So the keyword here is not, para eliminar esa opción. And yes, the correct answer is the second one. So good. And Rosa, can you read the question and option, please?
According to the professor, how is Sunday afternoon on the island of the Grand Jatte regarded by the French today? First option is as rightfully theirs, stolen by the Art Institute of Chicago as a significant cultural achievement that is unfortunately distant from its origin, as a widely underappreciated work that must be reevaluated as more noteworthy than other French works that have not left their homeland.
Homelands.
Yes, sorry.
So, ¿cuál crees que es?
Institute of Chicago.
¿Se acuerdan qué era la frase que dijo? Hay como un phrase de, es el tal, tal, tal para los franceses, esta obra.
The greatest outdoors. painting or landscape, something.
It was the greatest French painting outside of France. O algo así, como que. Yeah,
Outside of France.
outside of France.
And there's something about outdoors.
It's similar. Tu cerebro se chispotea palabras a veces. But yeah, it was the greatest painting outside of France. So, ¿qué quiere decir eso?
Is distant from
its origin.
The second one.
Lo reconocen que es muy bueno, pero no está en Francia. Así que it's distant from France. And yes, let's rate it. Okay, now we're going to listen to a part of the lecture and we have to answer the question. Let's wait for this to charge. Parece que no está. Wait, I'm going to try to reload the page. Nada siempre. Ok, rayos, no funciona el audio, so no podemos saber qué nos dice el profesor. So we're gonna skip this one. Well, let's just poner cualquier cosa para pasar la pregunta. Okay, so unfortunately we couldn't listen to, ay, ahora sí aparece. Okay, let's listen to qué era la pregunta y ahora vemos por qué sería esta la respuesta.
Listen again to part of the lecture, then answer the question.
One of the most famous works using this technique is Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte by Georges Seurat. Notice how vivid and vibrant the colors in this picture are.
Why does the professor say this?
Notice how vivid and vibrant the colors in this picture are.
Okay, so let's go por eliminación. To draw similarities to other Impressionist art pieces, menciona ninguno, no menciona, no compara. To suggest that the mentioned work is the best piece of Seurat completed, it could have been this one too, pero igual habla principalmente de los colores, so it's not this one. To draw attention to the selection of colors in the artwork, más adelante, he does mention that they choose primary colors y demás, but on this one, he talks, más describe. It's more describing how they're bright, how they're vibrant. So he's describing the appearance of the colors, not really como los ha seleccionado. So it's that. And eso serían todas las preguntas for this one. Y we're 8 minutes away from the class, so I don't think we're gonna have time to do one more. Así que nos quedamos con esas dos. Do you guys have any questions, any comments?
Yo sí tenía una pregunta. Y era que creo que en la parte de abajo de los videos salió un mensaje. ¿Nosotros podremos ver el video durante el examen? ¿O algo así? ¿O no?
¿En qué parte del...?
Creo que me equivoco. Sí, cuando sale el audio, abajo, que solo vas a poder ver el video o algo así durante la prueba.
In the test, yeah, you can only listen to the full audio one time, which is why it's recommended to tener tu papelito siempre para listening, apuntes.
Ok.
Okay, so si no pueden volver al audio, entonces tienen que tenerlo así. Any other question?
Can we access this material after the class or?
The video, yeah, it's gonna be on the, I don't know if your teacher gave you the link to the YouTube channel where all your classes are gonna be uploaded.
Oh, but I mean the material, the mock test itself.
The listening, I'm gonna see if I can send it to you. I'm gonna ask. Just a sec. But yeah, I'll confirm and I'll send you guys in the group.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anything else?
Maybe maybe vocabulary. I think that there are many words that maybe you can recommend us to, I don't know, research or maybe a list of, I don't know.
The
I
thing
think that
with- like I told you, there are some that are lectures that are going to be a little bit more formal, and the conversations, which are a little informal. For the conversations, la verdad es que no hay mejor solución que meterte en el idioma, ¿no? Listen to music, watch movies, listen to podcasts, tus redes sociales en inglés, vuélvelas todas en inglés, follow people on, I don't know, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever social media you use, so that the like conversational English becomes more natural. For the academic ones, es que realmente te pueden lanzar cualquier tópico, entonces igual, it's the thing with academic ones is though academic language tends to be similar in all languages. So like, I don't know, for example, the word pointillism sounds like in Spanish puntillismo. Right? So it's kind of, puedes asociarlo más fácil cuando son términos un poco más académicos, porque sí suena a español. So that would be a tip to como que cachar palabras que son difíciles. Pero en general, para vocabulario más informal, métanse al inglés por donde puedan, tele, internet, libros, artículos. So yeah.
I also noticed there is a difficulty level for each activity or listening. Will it increase throughout the course? Que sea como dificultad media para el ejercicio de hoy.
Yeah, we're gonna try different levels, but right now we're starting kind of like on a test level to see where you guys are at since it's your first class. So we're gonna see that later on.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna send you guys a poll. So you fill it in y cuando todos terminan el poll pueden salir de la clase. Just a sec. Y ahorita les mando el poll. So antes de que se vayan, because bye guys, pueden llenar el poll y pueden irse saliendo. It was really nice to meet you all, and I'll see you guys on Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Don't
Bye.
forget to- Wait just a sec, I'm gonna send it. Ahora sí.
Yes.
Salga todavía 2 segundos.
I'm sorry.
No sé qué pasa con estos polls, que no. Last time I sent it, I didn't. Okay, just let me take a picture that it's not sending. Ok, so, como no ha podido mandar el poll, es un poll de qué tal les apareció la clase, preparada, no preparada. Les voy a mandar las preguntas al grupo y pueden responder, les voy a dar un número al que le pueden responder por privado, no para que sea anónimo su opinión de la clase. Ok, so ahora sí, como no se ha podido mandar, bueno, ahora sí. Bye guys, see you on Friday. It was lovely to see you y nos vemos.
Bye.
Bye guys.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.